Episode 30. This woman is very feisty. "Don't push me," Natalie said angrily. Liam, who was sitting next to his mom, was also furious. Last time, this nasty auntie had bullied him and his mother, and now she was looking for trouble again. He felt very angry, so he immediately stood up and kicked Cheryl's leg.
"You are a bad woman. I won't allow you to bully my mommy."
Cheryl had not expected him to kick her. She immediately scolded him. "You little brat, I'll teach you a lesson." She raised her hand to hit him, but Natalie quickly stopped her and slapped her in the face. "What right do you have to discipline my son? Get lost." The slap was hard and caused Cheryl's face to turn red. Her entire life, no one had ever dared to lay a hand on her. She cried to Nick, "Oh, she slapped me. I only wanted to discipline Liam, but she slapped me." Seeing that Cheryl was being bullied, Nick's face darkened. He said coldly, "Natalie, that was too much. Apologize to Cheryl right now." "You're asking me to apologize to her?" "Don't be ridiculous." She wouldn't budge. She felt disgusted just looking at Nick's face. Nick saw that she was being stubborn, and he felt a bit awkward. "Natalie, the reason I'm still talking to you so patiently is because of our past relationship. Don't push your luck." She found this amusing and raised her eyebrows in disdain. "When did I ask you to do that? You'd better stay away from me and get out of my sight." He saw the disgust in her eyes and knew he had hit a nerve. He understood that this Natalie was no longer the woman who had loved him so dearly. He was furious. He angrily grabbed her collar. "You really think I won't hit you?" Liam saw his mom being threatened and cried out,
"If you hurt my mom, my dad won't let you get away with it."
When Cheryl heard that, she snickered. "Your dad? Bryce Clare? He's not even your father. Just because he's rich, you can't go around calling him dad. Who knows where you came from? You're just a bastard." Although Liam didn't understand all the words, he knew that Cheryl was mocking him for not having a father. He stood there in a daze, really hurt. Natalie instantly became angry and defensive. Liam was the most important person in her life. He had never been scolded like this. Didn't Cheryl realize how much damage she was doing by saying those words to a child? She was so enraged that she pushed Nick away, picked up a steak knife from the table, and held it against Cheryl's neck. With bloodshot eyes, she said, "I dare you to say that one more time." The scene immediately descended into chaos. Cheryl hadn't expected her sister to do such a thing, especially when she looked so fragile. For a moment, she didn't dare to react. Meanwhile, at the other end of the restaurant, Bryce was watching the scene unfold. He had come in to eat with some friends, but he heard a commotion, and when he looked over, he had seen the mother and child again. His eyes flashed, but he concealed his emotions at once. He lowered his head, wanting to mind his own business and not think about her. But then he overheard that they were once again being mocked and ridiculed. From their conversation, it seemed that the reason Natalie had not left the country was most likely because she was being threatened by her family. He didn't know why, but after hearing this, he realized that he had misunderstood her again and that she had not lied to him. A strange feeling suddenly surged up in his heart. But she was still a stranger to him. He didn't intend to help. He watched silently from the sidelines. His eyes widened when he saw Natalie holding a steak knife against her stepsister's neck. Bryce never thought Natalie was capable of doing something like this when she was furious. At that moment, Samuel, who was sitting beside him, spotted what was going on and said excitedly, "Oh, that woman is very feisty." Samuel was his good friend. The two of them had been friends since childhood. They were very close and spoke casually with each other. Bryce raised his glass and took a sip of red wine. He did not respond as he tasted the wine. Quite a few people in the restaurant turned their attention to Natalie. Nick didn't dare to react when he saw Cheryl being held at knife point. He could only shout, "Natalie, I'm warning you. Put the knife down right now or I'll call the police." She shook her head. The knife in her hand moved closer to Cheryl. With a cold look in her eyes, she said, "Not possible. Unless she apologizes to Liam, I won't let her go." Cheryl felt the sharp edge of the knife rubbing against her neck. She was extremely scared, but she said, "Go ahead, do it. I want to see just what you're capable of. Nick, don't worry about me. Just call the police." She gave him a wink. Nick hesitated for a moment, but when he saw Cheryl's anxious expression, he immediately took out his phone and called the police. On the other side of the restaurant, Samuel watched this scene unfold and chuckled. His eyebrows curved slightly as he joked with Bryce, "Things are really getting interesting. When the police come, let me know if I should step in or not. I really like this woman's feistiness. And look at that little boy next to her. He's really cute." Samuel spoke the line with a casualness, but Bryce gave a lot more attention to what he was saying. For some reason, when Bryce heard his words, he felt slightly uncomfortable. He raised his eyebrows and glanced at Samuel coldly, not realizing what his intentions were. Samuel saw Bryce's expression, and his whole body broke out in a cold sweat. To hide his embarrassment, he picked up his wine glass and took a sip. Whether it was intentional or not, his eyes were still looking in Natalie's direction. "Why is Bryce looking at me so coldly?" he thought. "Could it be that he knows this woman?" Soon, the police arrived. After they had inspected the restaurant, they understood the situation. The policeman walked up to Natalie and warned her, "Put the knife down. This is a restaurant." Natalie refused. Even after the police arrived, she repeated what she had been saying. "Get her to apologize to Liam, or I won't let her go." When the police officer heard this, he felt a bit lost and looked at his captain. He saw that the captain was losing patience and frowned. "If you don't let her go, then we'll have to use force." Natalie tensed up, but she remained motionless in the face of the police's threats. She brought the blade closer to Cheryl's neck and said every word carefully. "I don't care. She has to apologize to Liam first."